Welcome back, everybody, to episode 3 of our walkthrough, Get OP and early DLC. We just finished up in Fort Height, grabbed the golden seed, so we're going to add that along with the other one to our flask. We grabbed the other one half of the Dectus medallion, and we have officially cleared all of the Weeping Peninsula and the southern part of Liurnia. So we'll be coming back here to run through Summon Lauder Village on our way to Caelid. But first, we are going to hop back to Stormhill Shack, and we are going to be heading north to Liurnia. Open up the map there. And we are pretty much just heading due north. Don't have the map fragments for where we're going, so just follow along. If you played the game, you know the way. Alright, so I think there's a cookbook here. Grab that on the way down. And then down here to the right, there's an Ash of War. I never use it, but I always end up grabbing it because it's just right here. Stormwall. Alright, and we are just going to follow the pathway. This lets us go around Stormvale Castle. For you new people, get to Liurnia without having to fight Margaret or Godric. Just keep going, grabbing stuff up. Get stuck on a muskrat, whatever those things are. Once you see the wolves, just ride on through. Gonna be one wolf staring you in the face. That'll howl coming up, that guy right there. But we're just gonna keep going. The Grace right around the corner we're gonna hop on. And here we are in Liurnia, second region of the game. Now this is gonna trigger. We rest here. Let's go ahead and do this now. We rest here. Once you leave the starter region, Lingrave, our maiden.
Forgive me. To determine if you had, it seems my torrent, whereas I'm in, there is but one I can take you gathering.
So we're gonna
let my
go to the round table, which is our hub. And once you leave the start area, any Grace that you rest at is gonna trigger this. If you skip it, you're like, she's gonna take you there eventually. So we're just gonna go ahead and get it done. We'll cover this later on. There's actually one thing we want to do. Roderica, the NPC that we met earlier, we're gonna go ahead and talk to her.
My name is Roderica. Isn't this around? I never knew, although I'm
still looking for my purpose. Then we're going to go in here. This is Hugh, our blacksmith. Roderica is going to set up shop here for you new people. She's going to be our spirit tuner. She lets us upgrade our spirit summons, like my wolves. And then Hugh, if we give him smithing stones and somber smithing stones, he will help us upgrade our weapons. And then there's an E.G., who's another blacksmith who's out in the world. He sells somber stones, which are the special weapons, and then like this club, for example, takes smithing stones, which are your kind of basic weapons. The basic weapons can be infused, the special weapons cannot. Infusing them gives them special properties. You can also put Ashes of War on them. In the very first episode, when we grabbed the map for Lingrave from Gatefront, we got a Ash of War Storm Stomp, which we're going to use to kill some invisible scarabs. So let's go ahead and talk to him.
No matter, lay out your own.
And we can strengthen our club. We don't really want to do that. What we do want to strengthen is this guy. And I don't have any runes right now, but the Morning Star, this has bleed on it, which is a status effect. We need 12 strength. And our shield, we need 14 strength for that. So when we finally do start leveling up, I'm going to take you to a basic room farm at the end of this episode. And when we are finished there, we're going to have the stats of 20 vigor, which is our health. We're starting at 10 across the board.
The girl you bought, she's crest. She has it. I saw another one. Their eyes.
So we're going to talk about spirit tuning. And then... So just stats real quick. We started as a wretch. I did anyway. We're 10 across the board. 10 vigor, that's our health. Mind is our mana or magic pool. Endurance, that's our equip load and how much stamina we have. Strength is obvious. Dexterity is obvious. Those are weapon scalings. Int, that lets us cast sorceries. Faith lets us cast incantations, and Arcane helps with bleed, item discovery, and there are also certain spells that require Arcane as well. So in terms of stat-wise, to get to the DLC, my character was level 92. I think we're at like 40 vigor, 30 strength, 20-something endurance, 18 dex, although 17 is the minimum we want to get for the Bloodhound's Fang, and then 15 faith and 12 arcane. And I'll get to all that, why we want all that stats later on. But that's just kind of what we're aiming at if you go off farming on your own. So anyway, let's go back and talk to Rodrika again.
It's all a bit. I'm still.
Tell her what the blacksmith said.
And if I do have, I suppose I should. I'll ask Matt certainly. I know he. I can tell.
Okay, and now we're gonna go back to Hugh again.
Back already, no matter.
About Rodrika.
Girl. Are you out of food? Sir. I refuse. I don't doubt.
It's what she wants. Okay, and then now that his dialogue is exhausted, when we leave and come back, she should be set up here as our spirit tuner. So we are going to go back to Lakeside Facing Cliffs. We're going to change the time to make it morning, and then we are going to pull up the map. Actually, we're going to go to another site of grace and we're going to pull it up, get down to the lake itself. So we're just going to ride into this church. There's another sacred tier that we can grab. There's an NPC here. He's a very basic sorcery vendor. That dude right there. I don't ever do sorceries, so I leave him alone. I don't even think he sells anything good. There might be a couple basic things you can pick up if you're interested. He dies later on. I think he can be a spirit, like a summon in the very first fight against Margaret. You can summon him. Oh no, that's a different NPC, but anyway. Alright, so we're gonna come in here. Don't have to grab this, it's just a glintstone cookbook. It's on the way, might as well. This is the vendor or the merchant we want. We just want to grab the site of grace here. And we're going to rest the aggro so we can pull up the map. Now we should be able to see the one map fragment. And I'll get the flask there in a second. I'm just going to mark a couple things. So we're going here, and then we're just going to head basically due north of there. There are some little fly people that are guarding the map fragment that we need to draw away from it to get it. And then we want to head north, and there should be a grace right around there. So let's go ahead and rest again so we can update or upgrade our flask. Use the sacred tier we just picked up. Let's see where we're at. We have 7 and we're at +5. So that's great. So we're just gonna kind of ride along. And there's the map fragment, and you can already see the fly people. So just ride over here to the west. Let them kind of crawl over towards you. And then what we can do is to just ride back around them and grab it, and then we are headed up north. All right, that's too far west. We want to, or east rather. I got to figure out where to put that mark better. This is what we want. Basically, we want to follow the road to the ruins again. And we're looking for a grace. There it is. Let's just grab this loot real quick. Another glintstone cookbook. Okay, so where we're heading is right where my head is. We're headed towards that gazebo, and that is going to warp us to the entrance to Raya Lucaria. And just to the right of it, off to the right, are some smithing stones we're going to try to grab before we go in. There is a Revenant, which is an enemy that a lot of you know and love, and I'm being sarcastic when I say that. That spawns up. They're very weak to holy damage. You can actually cast the spell Heal. Oh, I was way off. Okay, so I need to make that more northwest, so not due north. Anyway, so let's make it morning, and then we're just going to run over here, and this is the gazebo, and that's going to teleport us up to the northern section, and we're going to grab some more map fragments. So let's make it morning again. There are night bosses that spawn out here. I know where they are, but I'm not going to be like, oop, sorry, forgot to mention that, and you guys ride past one. Deathbirds, not a good time if you're a new player. Not a good time if you're level 1 wearing a bikini and just have a club. All right, so we're going to head on over this way. Okay, here comes the Revenant spawning up. We grab the smithing stones, hop off, and we're gonna fast travel. And you see that we got off in plenty of time. No problem there. And anyway, like if you screw this up and die, don't worry about the smithing stones. We're gonna be grabbing the smithing bell bearings, so you don't need to worry about it. This is the gate to Raya Lucaria. If you don't no, there's the map fragment there, or like the map that's going to tell you where to get the key. I'm going to be walking you through that. So what we're going to be doing, and since we don't have the map here, is we're going to be going and getting another map fragment over here. You can already see that. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark that where we're going to end up. So what we're going to do is we're going to ride down here. We're going to ride through the encampment. There's some more smithing stones that we can grab. We're going to hop off next to the wall, down into the water where there's a crab, and grab some more. We're going to swing around the building for another golden seed, and then we're going to head for that map fragment, and there'll be a grace there. So we got that. Heading out over here, there's our crab, that little shiny. Those are the smithing stones we want. So come out over here, hop on there, and okay, he isn't in the best place. Let's hop down over here. Up, and he sees us, and we're, oh, I thought we were dead. And that's the wrong flask. I don't know how we lived. So anyway, we are just gonna head towards our mark a little bit. As soon as we clear the stone part of the building, we're gonna swing around a little bit to our left, and there you can see our golden seed. Grab that. Past the Albinurics. And here's our map fragment and our grace. All right, so let's get rid of our mark. So this is where we just were. I think what we're gonna do next is we're gonna swing out here for a grace. We're gonna swing out here to grab Blood Flame Blade, which is the Ash of War we're gonna use on Bloodhound's Fang. It's actually a spell. Then we're gonna ride over here for a grace, and then we're gonna ride over here, and this is where the key is. There's gonna be a dragon. We're just gonna ride up and around behind him and grab the key. And then we're gonna head out over this way to another grace. So those are our spots. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm just gonna get rid of this mark so it doesn't confuse anybody. And then we're pretty much heading out west. And if you're not really sure which mark is first, you can kind of head towards the minor Erd tree. Off in the distance, that should take us to our first mark. Right over there on the other side of that, that's where one of the death birds is going to spawn. So we're just heading for this ruined structure. I don't even know if you can call it a structure. Right up on top, and here's our grace. And this is handy because we're going to ride past the church. The church is where Vari moves to. He was that white masked NPC that we saw when we first came out at the very beginning. At the start of the game. He will move to the front of the church here. And we're going to be coming back and forth to see him a handful of times to complete his quest and get access to Mogwyn's Palace. So he'll be standing right there. We're heading over here for another scarab. You can see it right there in the distance. This is Blood Flame Blade. Like I said, it's a spell. Ooh, don't be difficult. Come on. Oh, this is not good. Come on. Because these scarabs will disappear if you don't... There we go. Blood Flame Blade. If you don't kill them in time, they will disappear. And if you just reset the world, like you go back to the Site of Grace, one of the things that I don't do is you can like quit the game and then reload, and it'll just reload the area and you'll be right there. We're just kind of riding around the edge. There is the Ice Rind Hatchet is in here. We're gonna snatch up these Shrina's Lilies. There's that thing, which we don't want to fight. There's our mark. The grace should be... Ooh, there it is. Right around here, once you clear the ruins, we're going to go ahead and... So in that statue, right where my head is, or not statue, that gazebo thingy, is a chest that has the Ice Rind Hatchet. Hatchets aren't particularly good. It's just a regular one. It does have the Ash of War Hoarfrost Stomp, which we're going to be getting for later, just on its own, and putting on our Morning Star when we kill Grail, the big dragon. People are like, oh, bleed, you know, kill Grail. I'm like, no. Get the Morning Star, which has bleed, and then use... put a frost, if you have Hoarfrost Stomp on it, it does frost damage as well. So you can proc frost and you can proc bleed, and it makes farming Grail that much faster. So there's the dragon that's sleeping. We are going to be heading right for the mark and just riding up the wall here. That way you can get behind him. And he will wake up and aggro. So we are, after that, the Academy Key, Dragon Wound Grease. There was one other thing. I don't remember what it is. But anyway, we're just riding around the back so he's not aggro to us. And then we're just going to be kind of heading off towards those trees right where I'm headed. The mark is just to get you around the backside of where the dragon was and headed in the right direction. And there should be a Site of Grace right over here that we can grab. There it is. So we're just going to run this part manually. You can warp back to the Academy gate and then drop down and take another teleporter. But we are going to run over here to grab the jellyfish shield, which is the... Oh, and I missed it. There it is. That is a great shield. Great shields have more guard boost, which means more likely for weapons to bounce off of them if you're doing a guard counter build. It also has an Ash of War that will give you a damage buff. You sprinkle basically like jellyfish stuff on you. It's pink like the angry jellyfish. And we're just kind of swinging off to the right to avoid the caravan. There's another caravan over there. There are also some mounted knights patrolling. There's that guy. So we're just avoiding all that. And we're heading off to that next group of trees for another map fragment. So there's going to be a grace, there's going to be the map fragment, and then you can kind of see it. Some ruins. We're going to ride through there. On the other side of that is going to be another grace, and that's going to be where E.G. is, the giant blacksmith, and he's like literally a giant, like a troll. So let's grab the map. And just to pull it all together for you, get rid of our marks. So this is where we started. We grabbed the site of grace there in the ruins. We came over here. We got Bloodflame Blade. We went past the temple quarter, grabbed that grace. This is where the dragon was. Rode around, went to this one, and then we just rode all the way north to here. And we're just going to be going the other side of the ruins. There's a grace right there, and E.G.'s right there. And then we are going to swing up. This is another one of the legacy dungeons. We are going to grab the grace out in front, and then we're going to be swinging down here. I was talking about Hoarfrost Stomp, and we're going to grab Hoarfrost Stomp. We're going to ride across here. We're going to ride up. There's going to be another merchant that we passed, and we are going to get another sacred tier in this church right there. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's run through the ruins, and then we'll head for Carrier Manor after we get the grace on the other side and have talked to E.G. Alright. So we're going to ride in. They're going to be a little, like, teleporting little sorcery dudes. We're just going to run. Keep moving. They won't hit you. There's going to be one that spawns right next to us. We're heading right towards that wall. It's a fake wall. We're going to give it a bonk. And then we are going to hop down here and rest at the grace. You got iframes doing that. Guy despawned anyway, so we are gonna rest. All right, and there's E.G. The thing about E.G. is he's another blacksmith, but the thing about him is he will sell.
I presume. I am an old codger, so perhaps.
He will sell somber stones, okay? So he has an infinite number of 1s and 2s, and he has 3 3s and 3 4s. So you can come back and get those. We're going to be getting the smithing bell bearings later. I'm not going to pick up the somber ones because we will have all the somber bell bearings we need. We might get the 3 and 4 one. The first one we're not going to get because we can get an infinite number from him anyway. So any somber weapons you want to, if you're new, you want to try them out. He's your boy to come to, at least to get them to level 2, and you know, you can go from there if you like them. So anyway, we're done with him. We are heading towards our next mark over there, which is the entrance to Carrier Manor. There are going to be some warriors shooting those kind of rain of arrows type thing. If you stay over here to the right, you should be okay. Riding up the road is where you're typically going to get hit. You can kind of see they're aiming at the road. So I swing over here to the right. And this is the only sketchy part, right by the castle. We're gonna wait, and now we should be able to hop on over and grab the grace. Okay, so we're just gonna rest, despawn the archer, so we can right away from here. We're just kind of headed out east. We're gonna come up on a little lake there. Ooh, actually, we need to go back. There's one thing I forgot to do. And that is we need to put our Storm Stomp Ash of War onto our club. So let's just go here. Ashes of War, Club, Storm Stomp. And it doesn't matter what you pick. We just want the Ash of War. We're not looking for it to really do any damage. All right, and round 2. Heading east. You can see our mark now. You can see the church up the hill. So there's an invisible scarab. You see it lives a little sparkly trail behind it. It's gonna come around here, and we want to do left trigger or left bumper rather when it comes around. Missed. We'll come back around in a minute. And that will trigger the Ash of War. It's on a pretty short path, so it should be back here in a minute. Where you at? There it comes. Gonna go around over here to our left. Now we're right on its path. And got it. Okay. So Hoarfrost Stomp, and we're gonna put that on the Morning Star. So let's ride over here. We're headed up the hill to the church. What you want to look for is this rock. You can ride across. And hop on across. There's some kind of soldiers there, so they're not friendly. This is the merchant.
What do you need? I don't want any trouble.
And he really doesn't have anything that we want. Another meat guy. He does have these guys. A little small shield and a medium shield. They both have parry on them. If you haven't picked up the Ashes of War, you can actually just get the shield with that.
Be on your way then.
Come on. Gotta get away from the merchant before I can get on Torrent again. Sacred Tear. And another Grace. Go ahead and rest. Add the Sacred Tear. All right, so we are going to warp all the way back over here to the Rhea Lucaria Gate. We're going to go in, we're going to activate a Grace over here. We're going to grab a couple more things, and then we are done with here. You can kind of see, like, this is the bottom of one of the hills leading up. We can walk through, you can kind of... Can't really see it. There's a loot down here that's guarded by a Bloodhound Knight. So when we come down here, there's a vendor, another merchant in front of us. I want to get the Fanged Imp ashes from him. Another spirit summoned. Just run over, hop on, hop off. I'm going to check my rune situation. I don't remember how much it costs. I want to say... So I have 122 runes, and then inventory, let's come down here. 2,000, 1,600, yeah, we'll have enough. So first we're gonna head out east. That's kind of where we just were, that church was. We're gonna ride past that. That's another teleporter. Hop across, there's a gap. Mind the gap. You're coming back here for an NPC battle that we need in order to progress the NPC's quest line to get a tier for our physics in order to take on Moog, the purifying crystal tier. So we grab that. And then next, we're just gonna head down here, and there's a merchant. There are a bunch of wolves on this bridge. If you stay to the left, there's one section where you're gonna run into some trees. That's right up ahead, but otherwise you can just stay here to the left. These are the trees, you gotta duke around them, and then you should be able to move back over to this left-hand side, and you should be able to get past the wolves without really running into any trouble. You see the merchant, and that's where we were. That's where we just came through. You can kind of see it. There it is. There's the loot down there on the ground, and right there, right above my head, that's the Bloodhound Knight who's waiting to ambush you. But anyway, this is the guy that we want. Let's grab that. The Trina's Lily.
Well, it's been a how can I help?
All right, and this is what I want. I want the Fanged Imps. These are a great early summons. We're going to use these until we get the Mimic. Really not going to use them much. They're just to run around and cause a distraction and draw aggro for us in a couple of fights. They do throw magic pots, so they have a ranged option, which is nice. They have the Blood Fork Hatchet. Their weapon does have bleed on it, so they're going to have synergy with us when we're using the Bloodhound's Fang. We have Lost Ashes of War and more Stone Sword keys if you want to come back and grab those. And then the cookbook is just like sleep arrows. We don't want any of that. So we're going to sell him 2,000 runes worth of stuff. And then we're going to purchase the Fanged Imps. Okay, and then I'm just going to warp on back. Warp on back over to the main academy gate, and that's where we are going to wrap up episode 3. So here we are. I'm going to wrap up now, and we'll see you in the next episode here in just a bit.